Your Facebook ads are bleeding money and you have no idea why. You launch campaigns and you watch your cost per acquisition climb to $85 when it needs to be at $25. Every dollar you spend feels like you're lighting it on fire. But here's the brutal truth about Facebook ads in 2025 that most people won't tell you. The game has completely changed. What worked 18 months ago doesn't work anymore. The strategies that you got from that media buying course that you paid $5K for, yeah, they're out of date, and it'll also bankrupt you faster than the meme coin you bought at the end of last year. Most Ecom owners are still thinking like it's 2022. You're launching campaigns with basic product photos, some ideas that you copied from a competitor. You have no real means of tracking. Just because you're using AI doesn't mean you're going to stand out against everybody else and become a millionaire. Meanwhile, your competitors who have probably worse products than you have already figured out exactly how to scale their ad accounts profitably, and they're quickly jumping from $100 a day to $1,000 a day, and soon will become an 8-figure brand. The reality is that this new algorithm, the one that you see in the news all the time, has evolved into something that is no longer about who has the biggest budgets or the fanciest targeting or the biggest list or who knows their customer better based on their Shopify stats, which actually can hurt you. It's about who understands the new creative economy. The brands winning right now are not the ones with the most money, but the ones that have the best creative systems. You know, when Apple launched the iPhone for the first time, they didn't just show a picture on the phone and say, buy this, or it's just like the competitors, or they didn't do an us versus them campaign. They created a desire. They told a story. They said the things that you can do and the things that are going to get replaced all in one go. When they launched the iPod, they didn't say how much storage it had, the features that it had. It literally said hundreds of songs in your pocket. And if you think that just copying messages from your competitors or using ChatGPT is the same amount of effort you're going to need to actually scale your brand to where you want it to be, what your dream has been, you're completely wrong. And yes, your 20% off buy now offer must be working, but if you look at the stats, the frequency is through the roof and you're basically targeting customers who've already paid you before. So you're paying for the same customers over and over and over again. How long do you think this can go before you just end up losing money? And I've seen this with brands time and time again that I've consulted for, that I've helped scale from $100 to $1,000 a day. All of them have to completely change how they do their marketing from just copy paste spaghetti throwing marketing to actually having some intention behind it, having to think about what their ideal customer really wants, using their words and taking bigger swings. So if I had to start with the zero budget, zero audience and everything that I know now, I wouldn't waste a single second on strategies that worked yesterday and not working today. I'll just jump straight into strategies that are working right now. And if you want to have the best Q4 ever, then you better listen up. So what I'm going to just do is I'm going to give you the new rules that you have to follow from today, so that you actually can stand out against your competitors and not be left behind trying to do the same thing that they were doing that isn't working anymore. The first is you want to have the creative first approach. Everyone gets this backwards about Facebook targeting. You may have had a successful Amazon store, you may have sold on Etsy, or somebody might have told you your product was good, but you're still following strategies that worked at the beginning of this year that right now have stopped working completely. You might start with the targeting. Yeah, I'm going to target these people. Facebook is smart. I'm going to give it all these targeting metrics. I'm going to pinpoint and snipe my ideal buyer. You think you know them very well, but you actually don't. Just because you know who purchased your products doesn't mean you know how to target them. You're thinking about budget. You think you have $100 of ad spend, therefore you only need a few ads to make sure they get all the spend. And then right at the end, you actually think about the creative. But here's the thing. The creative is 80% of the success and everything else is optimizing around the edges. Your Instagram and Facebook feeds are basically a party where everyone's wearing the same outfit and saying the same things. Who do you think's gonna get the attention? The person who stands out and comes in with a brand new outfit, colors, and looks good and looks different to everybody, or the next person that joins the party that looks the same? No amount of targeting and wizardry can save you from being the boring person in that party. Here's 3 things about the algorithm you have to understand. The new one takes away the targeting away from the ad sets and puts it in the ads themselves. You might have one ad that's targeting moms and another ad is targeting athletes, and they both work together and show it to different people. Then Facebook will prioritize which one is going to get the higher conversions. And the only way you can do that is by number 2, which is prioritizing engagement on your post and relatability. If your videos are boring and not really speaking to anybody where they actually are somewhat interested in what you're saying, they're going to scroll right past and your CPMs are going to skyrocket, your cost per acquisition is going to skyrocket, and you're going to have a bad time. And the last thing is that you need to understand that your creative testing shouldn't be 5 videos with 5 different hooks. It should be doing 10 uniquely different videos where every single video is a different concept rather than doing variations of each. But here's where it gets interesting. The creative that performs usually isn't the one that you always think will work. Which brings us to the next crucial part that people miss completely, the attribution problem that nobody talks about. You open up your Facebook ads account, you see that you've got 50 purchases at a pretty decent CPA of $40, although you wish it was lower, everybody does. But when you check Shopify, you see that you actually have 80 purchases and they're from new customers. You're like, whoa, where did those 30 customers come from? This is the attribution black hole that is swallowing ecom businesses whole. Facebook is taking credit for about 60% of new customers and sales that comes through them, but the other 40% shows up from direct traffic, organic, socials, or email. Most brands will see something like this and go, well, my ads aren't really working, so I'm gonna just shut them off. And they have just basically turned off a potential money printer because they're just looking at what the dashboard on Facebook shows. And that is the fastest way for you to stay poor because it's gonna kill your momentum. So as soon as you can, you need to invest in third-party tracking tools like Triple Whale, Northbeam, or Hyros. You wanna use the 7-day view and 1-day click attribution windows instead of Facebook's default settings that inflate numbers. And you also want to track incrementally by running holdout tests where you exclude certain geographic regions from ads and compare purchase behaviors. You see, the brands that understand this attribution gap are the ones that are scaling profitably while competitors are basically making decisions based on what's on their Facebook dashboard and making decisions based on emotion, which is not what you want. The next rule is about creative production. Most brands approach creative like they're making a Super Bowl commercial. They spend a lot of time on a big production, the perfect lighting, the perfect creators. They might think they need to do some crazy, in-depth, massive plan and find this perfect person, the perfect editor, and they spend a long time thinking, oh, I want this ad that's gonna do this and look this way, when there are videos that you can shoot on an iPhone that get you literally the same results, the same sales, and you still can build brand on top of it, but you have a limiting belief that you think that you need to show up as this bigger brand than you actually are, which just comes from a place of insecurity. And I'm just saying this because I see so many brands experiencing this. You don't need the most high production type videos. If you see different people that scroll on social, people like high production videos, people also like low production talking head videos, people also like just images, people like memes. So why should you spend so much of your budget, which should go into the ad spend, which is quite literally you showing the ads to other people? Why not spend that money on creative that people are already consuming on a regular basis, following the concepts that have been proven by other brands and taking ideas like what another creator would be making? So what you want to be doing is creating a system where you're able to produce 20 to 30 pieces of creative per month that are diverse and varied enough so you can find your messaging, not 3 to 5 polished videos per quarter and banking that that's going to work really well, because I guarantee you that is a quick way for you to have really high CPAs. You also want to focus on problem agitation, solution type content, or if you're selling a product that doesn't really solve a problem, then you want to focus on storytelling or finding a desire that people have, rather than focusing so much on the features, the benefits, or how nice your product is. You also want to be selecting specific avatars, specific people you want to speak to, rather than just targeting anybody and everybody who pull out their credit card. You want to have hooks that speak to somebody's unique experience as opposed to a general idea or consensus that other people have. If you find that your ads get high click-through rates, they get high add to carts but no purchases, because the person getting to that final decision isn't sold enough on your thing because it's not really for them. The brands that scale the fastest have a proven system for creative production, and they treat it like a factory. Good research, good scripting, good creator selection, good concept selection, editing, testing, and tracking learnings. So if you want us to build this system with you in your business or do it for you so you don't have to deal with any of the headaches of managing a production company, then click the link down below and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. Now, the next rule is the one that if you're going to do anything from this video, you need to do it as soon as possible. And that is the offer stack strategy. Most e-com brands, Shopify stores, people like you watching this video, leave a lot of money on the table because they're selling products when they should be selling transformations. They're competing on price because they have a competitor who basically is a copycat of their product, or there's another one who has a bit more brand, has had more time in the space, when it should be competing on value and who can sell the best transformation. If you're selling a skincare product, everyone else is saying buy this moisturizer for $30. Everyone else is saying reduce your spots. But what if instead you're saying get clearer skin in 30 days or your money back without having a 25-minute skincare routine, and also join a private community of other people that are suffering with acne. And also you're gonna get a bonus cleanser. How irresistible is that offer? How much more would you be inclined to get it? And how much closer do you think your customers are gonna feel like they can get to their ideal situation if they go for you instead? You also need to experiment with different pricing structures. You want to test anchors. The first price they see is the anchor for anything. If you're showing them the lowest price first, and then the price that is selected is a higher price, you're literally burning money. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be showing them the high price first and then the actual best offer that they can have. The psychology here is crucial as well. When someone sees a tremendous value for a reasonable price, they don't think it's expensive. They try to sell themselves as to why they will need it. Don't think that you can just undercut your competitors and just charge $2, $3 less and you're going to be successful, because you're literally shooting yourself in the foot when the easiest thing for you is just to come up with a better offer. Now, the last rule you need to understand, and is unfortunately something that many people never really get to, is the actual scaling trap. This is the graveyard where most profitable campaigns come to die. You find a winning campaign, you get really excited, you triple the budget overnight, then you watch your cost per acquisition explode and your ROAS tank, and you basically think this is all going to the shitter. Excuse my French. Scaling is like turning the volume on a speaker. You turn it up gradually and it sounds great and you can get accustomed to it. But if you crank it to the absolute maximum, you're gonna get distortion, which is gonna pierce your eardrums. You're gonna have a bad time. Facebook's algorithm works very similarly. Sure, you can scale your campaigns in big steps if it makes sense, if the data is correct. But I typically like to increase my budgets to a maximum of 25% either every 24 or 72 hours, rather than just going from one day to another day as a huge bump. Mainly because if Meta has to spend all your budget for that day and it's a bigger budget, it's going to look for more people outside the core audience that they found. So if your ads haven't already proven to work with colder and colder traffic for a longer and longer time, then this is why your CPAs go up. You should also duplicate and separate campaigns where you have a winning ad that you want to scale, rather than having the same ad in a testing campaign, taking it out and putting in a scaling campaign. You just won't get any sales. And the best thing that you can do is try and focus on finding new winning creatives that you can put back into that scaling campaign, so that at some point when the ads hit fatigue, you're not left having to scramble for new creative. And the last thing I'll tell you is the brands that are the most successful scaling to the 7 and 8 figure mark are the ones that understand the patience in the scaling phase and not acting out of emotion, as opposed to looking at how can we scale this like a real business and get sustainable growth. Now look, if you're running an ecom brand and your CPAs are higher than it should be, you're not alone. A lot of people have been struggling this year because of the new changes. The landscape has shifted pretty dramatically, and what got you to this stage might not get you to the next one. The reality is that figuring all of this out, all of these strategies while running your business, is like trying to rebuild a plane without actually flying it. You need somebody who lives and breathes this stuff, somebody who understands and is on top of everything. And your random Fiverr freelancer, your random UGC creator online is not going to have that insight. They're busy doing their own thing. You need somebody who's actually in different ad accounts, seeing what's working, seeing what's not working, taking those lessons and applying it to your business. And that's exactly what we do for ecom brands. So we've helped hundreds of brands, 35 of them have been enterprise level businesses that you might recognize. And if you want us to make your creative or build you a system, there's a link down below for you to book a call with me, where we'll go through your current situation. We'll analyze what the best steps are, and if it's a good fit, then we'll talk about what it means to actually work together. Now, if you want to know exactly what the team would look like, I'm gonna click this video right here where I actually show you exactly how we've built our team, so you know what people are getting involved in what. I'll see you in that video.